Hello, YouTube world. Sister Danger here. I'm excited. I'm going to wade into the world of controversial YouTube videos this afternoon. I was linked to this Steve Shives video and asked to watch it. Obviously, this is a topic that my friend felt passionately about, but I find this video to be one long fallacy of analogy. So I would like to use this opportunity to respond both to Steve Shives as well as my friend. I'm going to go ahead and try to do this in a direct response style where I go through Steve's video and cut it up and respond to the things that he says in real time. So please cut me a little bit of slack. That'll be the first time I have ever done this, and there's always room for improvement.
Atheism and feminism are naturally complementary to one another.
So this opening statement just makes my eye twitch. One of them values rational thought and free thinking, typically speaking. The other one just went to the UN in order to censor the internet.
There is no human institution that has done so much in so many cultures across such a long period of time to hold women down as organized religion.
I'm not a fan of organized religion, but the inference that one of its purposes is to keep women down throughout the span of history sounds nothing short of conspiratorial.
For most of the history of civilization, the proposition that women ought to be treated equally to men was just as radical as the proposition that gods did not exist.
Shives will go on in the next segment here to say that he is using different definitions of the word atheism throughout his video. Keeping in the spirit of toggling definitions, I would posit to you, dear viewer, that perhaps when Shives also refers to women and men being equal, that the definition that we understand as equal between the sexes today is not the same as that definition may have been in times past. One of the things that we have difficulty taking into account when we speak of gender equality present and past is the world paradigm of our forebears. It's absurd to suggest that 50% of a society sat around hapless, able to do nothing for their own selves until women's suffrage came along.
As I was saying, given the fact that both atheists and advocates for the rights of women have historically been oppressed by organized religion, you might think that atheism and feminism would be the strongest of allies.
Wrong. Just because atheists and feminists get a lot of flack doesn't mean they have anything to do with each other.
Thanks to the internet, I have a fairly large circle of friends and acquaintances who, like me, identify as both atheist and feminist, and find that the two fit together quite neatly.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of this one.
Unfortunately, there is also a faction within atheism that is aggressively hostile toward women in general and outspoken feminists in particular.
People of a distasteful disposition exist in every segment of society, and I say this not to dismiss their behavior, but rather to emphasize that it is in fact an issue of behavior and not of whichever political or ideological or religious party one may align themselves with.
These regularly feature videos attacking feminists, spreading misinformation about feminism, and attempting to undermine efforts to address problems of importance to feminists.
To use the insults flung at feminists in order to create a framework around them as the aggrieved party, innocent of any wrongdoing of their own, is entirely disingenuous.
Beyond that, their supporters eagerly join the effort, inundating comment sections with insults, pedantic demands for evidence of even mundane and uncontroversial claims, and childish declarations that they have been pwned or wrecked.
So what?
Commenters of this sort also like to challenge feminists to debates on behalf of their favorite anti-feminists.
So what?
Occasionally, especially if the target is a woman, they'll even resort to doxing.
You mean like this paragon of feminism did to one of her debt collectors?
Or threats of physical violence.
Direct threats of action on a person or a business establishment that would be harmful are already actionable under most cyber terrorism laws.
There are two major results of this. First, feminists, especially women, either stop participating in the YouTube atheist community or decide not to start. And second, the atheist community as a whole is perceived by those outside of it as being a place where sexism and misogyny are not merely tolerated, but rewarded.
Whoa, guy.
Oppression of women in the YouTube atheist community is not nearly so formal, Nowhere is it codified that women should not be allowed to speak freely. But the hostility toward feminism, the petulant complaining in response to attempts to address sexism.
I think I can pause here to say that I genuinely do not understand complaining about complaining. It's like some strange form of meta-complaining. It's as if you feel magically compelled to look at the things that are on the internet and reply to them, as if you do not have the ability to just shut your laptop or look away from your monitor or just not read the comment section. I don't get it. But then you take it one step further to use the fact that negative comments are lobbed towards feminists or atheists on the internet to paint a very biased picture, setting these groups up as victims with seemingly no acknowledgement of the fact that this is a two-way street, not a one-way street. Everybody in groups all over the internet make terrible comments towards each other. This is not a feminist problem or an atheist problem or a Republican problem. This is a people problem with those that feel entitled to speak to others in this derogatory or pejorative fashion. It doesn't know the boundaries of ideologies or political parties.
Many atheists also identify as humanists, or at least share many key humanist values. But it seems to me that no humanist worthy of the label would tolerate women being mistreated in their community.
Do you even hear what you're saying? You are literally suggesting that women in the atheist community are too emotionally frail to just disregard bad internet commentary. Those who put their opinion into the public realm are subject to hearing the opinion of the public realm. You, a feminist, have classified women as so feeble as to need protection from petulant internet remarks. This is a perfect example of where the claims of feminism digress from the actions of feminism. You claim that it is about empowering women, but here you have already labeled them as weak and frail and incapable of handling negative internet commentary, and then seek to set up policies to protect them from any potential or perceived harmfulness. This is not empowering, it's enabling. And here we especially diverge because your method of dealing with internet nastiness is not to do something that is directly within your own personal power to do, namely to control your own opinions and thoughts about what is put before you. Instead, you would seek to mitigate this matter by censoring other people. You do not see negative commentary as an opportunity to self-reflect or to hear the voice of opposition or to shore up your own emotional fortitude and learn when to be indifferent. Instead, you view it like Godzilla bearing down on Japan, a thing to be crushed and destroyed at all costs.
A straw man that doesn't represent the general character of our community.
Our community, you say, as if atheism belongs to feminism. If you're going to rank on Sargon of Akkad or Thunderfoot as terrible examples of the atheist community, take the plank out of your own eye and clean your house first.
The anti-feminists, the sexists, the misogynists do not speak for us.
Us who? Did somebody die and award you the Pope hat of atheism? The last time I checked, if somebody happens to be anti-feminist or a misogynist or just an all-around jerk, and they also happen to be an atheist, then when they speak and they say they are speaking on behalf of their atheism, they're speaking on behalf of their atheism. You don't get to determine who the us of atheism is and what its official voice is. There isn't one. That's the whole point of atheism.
But if the amount of anti-feminist rhetoric is keeping atheist women from having a stronger voice in our community, isn't that a problem?
Yes, it is a problem, but it isn't a problem with the rhetoric. It's a problem with people not having the spinal constitution to go ahead and put their opinion out there anyway, regardless of what sort of feedback they get. It's a problem that people do not know how to formulate a logical or a rational argument in order to offset or deal with the rhetoric that they think may be incorrect or in some other way they may disagree with. Learning how to make yourself heard so that you don't sound like an emotional and reactionary freakazoid is what allows people to go out into the big wide world where not all places may be so safe. Learning those tools and skills is empowering.
I've even suggested that the atheist movement would be better off if it adopted an approach more like that of intersectional feminism, which seeks to understand how different forms of discrimination overlap and amplify each other.
Exponential offense-taking opportunities. Go for it!
An intersectional atheist would necessarily be someone who wants the movement to be even broader and more inclusive than it already is.
You mean like atheists who might also be anti-feminists?
I spent too many years. Will we strive to empower the marginalized members of our community? We do that by speaking up for ourselves.
You know what? I think I'll take you up on that and speak for myself. As a member of the largest voting bloc in the United States, I don't appreciate being referred to as marginalized. I don't appreciate you trying to censor what I'm able to hear on the grounds that it might be contradictory to my opinion or somehow offensive. And I don't particularly appreciate the implication that, as a woman, I'm somehow powerless to disregard potentially offensive content. And I'm somewhat troubled by the notion that rather than teach people how to make their arguments better in order to defend themselves and make their voices heard, you would instead handicap them and make them dependent on the community that they choose to align themselves with, instead of giving them the tools to be able to stand independently. And I'm rather disturbed by the notion that your definition of enabling women apparently means to form a shield wall around them rather than to teach them how to swing a sword just as capably. I never want to live in your safe space world. I want to live in a world where I hear controversial, contradictory, and different opinions from my own. I want to live in a world where if I am wrong, I have the opportunity to learn from it. And when I am right, I am acknowledged as being right. I want to live in a world where people debate passionately and vigorously. And I do not want to live in a world where knowledge, scholarship, and intellectualism are sacrificed on the altar of fragile egos. And further, I accept that in order to live in that world, I am sometimes going to have to see and hear things that I might not like, things that will make me angry, things that will hurt my feelings. But those are my emotions to deal with and manage and learn how to navigate. If I want to have the claim of independence, then I need to also be willing to shoulder the burden of self-responsibility. So there you have it, ladies and germs. Feminism is its own patriarchy. It is the one telling you that you are repressed and that you are marginalized, and it isn't the other way around. I hope everybody enjoyed today's video. Please feel free to comment below and let me know what you thought. I can't force people to be polite on the internet, but I can certainly ask that you do try to keep it civil. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. She wanted to come help me do this video this afternoon by stepping on the keyboard, but that's not helping me.